this room have placed imaginary limitations on your abilities? How many of you have woken up every morning and said, this is all I can do? I can't do anymore. I'm doing everything possible. My business can't go any higher than this because I've got limitations. I can't speak English correctly. Maybe I have an accent. Maybe I'm not as educated as other people. Maybe I'm not this. Maybe I'm not that. Let me tell you that those limitations are self-imposed, no different than those fleas there that had no limitation, but they imagined that they did. Don't be guided by self-imposed limitations. There is nothing that you can't accomplish. There is nothing that you can't do in this great industry. This is an industry where the playing field is completely level. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care if you're tall or short, educated or uneducated, black, white, green. It doesn't care. Just be the best that you possibly can. Give me, the client, excellent service. Give me extraordinary service. And then be knowledgeable about what you're doing. And I guarantee you, I will make sure you are successful. That's what this industry says about each one of us and to each one of us. So don't ever allow yourself to be hindered by these self-imposed limitations. You know, I'll tell you just a short story about myself. I grew up in an environment where we didn't have running water, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have anything. But what I did have was I had an alcoholic, abusive father that constantly told me on a daily basis, you are a failure. You will never amount to anything. That's what I grew up in. And for a long time, I believed him. For a long time, I was limited by those limitations that I thought he had placed on me. But then I realized that the reality of it is that I placed them on me. I chose to take his word as gospel truth. Now, when you're little, when you're young, obviously that's pretty natural that you would look up to somebody in authority like that and you would say they know what they're talking about. But there comes a point in time where you have to take responsibility. No longer can you use those situations as excuses for you not going out and accomplishing things. When I was able to break through those chains, a whole world opened up to me. Where I was able to now say, I take responsibility, I will become what I choose to become, not what I believe that somebody else's reality was for me, which was false. Each one of you has God-given talent. Don't let it go to waste. Get involved. But start by getting involved in this organization that can make a transformational change in your business life. Get involved. You know, I teach a course on networking. I call it net giving because I believe that everything starts with what can I do for you, not what you can do for me. I believe that. I want each one of you to go out and build an organization that is based on you giving. That's the way you build connections. That's the way you build relationships, is by the value that you bring to the table. Now I'm going to end with this, and this time I'm really going to end. And some of you may have heard this story. There was once a young little boy that was always getting in trouble. And he was always trying to make the smartest man in the community look like a fool. The wise man. That wise man used to gather at the town square on a weekly basis and tell the people what was going to happen. So they all looked forward to those weekend gatherings. But this young boy was determined that he was going to show that that wise man was a fool. And he'd think of ideas of how he could utilize his smarts to outsmart that wise man. But one day he came up with perfect idea. He said, what I'm going to do is when the wise man is in the midst of the crowd, I'm going to go up to him, and I'm going to have caught a bird, and I'm going to go up to that wise man with my hands clasped, and I'm going to ask him, wise man, what do I have in my hands? And I know he'll know it's a bird. But then I'm going to ask him the pivotal question. Wise man, is the bird alive or is the bird dead? And if he says the bird is dead, I'm going to open my hands and let the bird fly away. On the other hand, if he says the bird is alive, I'm going to squeeze the life out of the bird and show him what a fool he is. The day came. The wise man with his long flowing beard and robe was standing in the midst of the town square, and hundreds of people, if not thousands, around him. And he's telling them what is going to happen. The young man works his way up to the front of the crowd, gets in front of the wise man and says, wise man, I have a question for you. The wise man looks at him and says, yes, son. He said, what do I have in my hands? The wise man says, a bird. Then he asks the pivotal question. Wise man, is the bird alive or dead? The wise man looks at him and says, young man, the fate of the bird is in your hands. And I submit to you that the fate of your real estate career and your lives, for that matter, is in your hands. Don't let anyone ever take it out of your hands. Don't ever surrender that power. No matter what happens to you, you can't control all of that. The one thing you control, or you have all the power, is your choice as to how you choose to react to it. Nobody can take that from you. Only you can surrender it. Get involved in this organization. Get involved in this organization. Let people that are more experienced than you mentor you. Bring your ideas, your fresh ideas. They're needed, they're wanted, they're valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you want some of the best information on real estate in El Paso, Texas, make sure to visit teamolivas.com and welcome to El Paso, Texas.